Hey guys, welcome back to the Book Haven with Rachel and Raven. We're so glad you're here. Grab something yummy to drink and let's get this episode started. So today our episode is about so we'll start it off with a bookish question. So what is an author that you will buy their book no matter what it's about? So
Okay.
do you want to go first, Raven?
Sure. So mine would definitely be Rita Petty's. I feel like that's probably going to be yours too. But
Yes.
that would be my, like, if she has a book, I'm going to buy it. She does so much research and her books come out so far apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely her.
I just saw that she posted on Instagram that she's in like Hawaii doing
Ooh.
research. So that should be,
Ooh.
she always drops little nuggets of where she's at and what she's working on. So she is I think she's technically considered YA, but I think it's more of just like it's a clean book and it never feels super young
No.
adultish to me.
No.
And her characters aren't, I don't think, normally, like if they're teenagers, they're like late teenagers. It's not like we're talking about 12-year-olds, 13.
Yeah.
But she always takes some random nugget of history and makes a whole story about it. And it doesn't just stick in so it is historical fiction, but it doesn't just stay in the World War II lane. Like she's done
Right. Yeah.
Spain, she's done, what else has she done? She didn't,
There was one in New Orleans, right?
no, that was Kelly Reamer.
No, she did Fountains of. Oh, you're right.
Oh, well, gosh, now that's going to drive me crazy. But other places.
Are you sure? I think there is one that's in New Orleans. Are you not remembering this?
So she had the I Must Betray You, which is in like Romania. Isn't that where did that one take place?
Out of
Right,
the
it
Easy,
was.
Rachel.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm like,
why
I
was I
know what I'm
thinking
talking
that?
about.
I'll just
Yeah.
cut that part out.
Yeah. So Out of the Easy does take place in New Orleans. And then, like, Betray You, I Must Betray You is in Romania. Fountains of Silence is in Spain. And then Salt to the Sea. Where does that one take place?
In the sea.
Yeah, in the sea, in the Baltic Sea. Yeah, that one's kind of sad. And then
And
Between
then,
Shades of Grey.
yeah, which is one of my favorite books. We've already talked about it, but so there is nothing. I say that when she has one that just came out this year and it's like a writer's guide to
Yeah.
writing. Which if you're a writer, I totally would pick it up and read it because I'm sure it's fantastic. I did not read that one though, and that's not like an actual fiction book.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
read that one and
everything else,
it was very different from her other stuff, obviously. But
right?
it was fun.
I'm sure it was still good because Ruta is Rudy. Rudy.
Rudy? Ruda is Ruda.
Yes, Ruta is Ruta, and like we would love to. This is somebody that I would love to meet in real life. And I think I was telling you about it the other day. I was just at a bookstore and they had a signed copy of one of her books, and I almost bought it. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to because I want to meet her and get her to sign my own books. So
Yeah. Yeah. So funny story or thing here. I'm looking on Goodreads right now. And if you go to her author page and you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is an untitled book. There's already 5 reviews. Let me read one.
oh golly,
I've never been more excited about a book with no description or title. These two are gold because she's partnered up with another Steve Shinkin.
oh okay,
And let me see. I'm super excited for this book. Like these are probably our friends. Like we
yes.
should be friends with these people. We probably should go on there and write our own review. But yeah, I would read anything from Rita Sepetys. I would love to meet her. Actually, my son had a baseball game right down the road from where she was going to be, and I missed it.
No.
I know.
Ugh.
It was like
I
in the spring right after her book came out. And
I feel like we should make a point when this next one comes out, because that's been kind of the bad thing too, is a lot of people quit doing the book tours because of COVID stuff. But when she comes out with the next book, we need to make sure that we can go to one of her stops
yeah,
and actually meet her.
especially if it's in Hawaii.
Well, let's not get too crazy. Dream big,
No,
dream big.
but seriously, yeah, we do need to do that because it's like a bucket list thing for us.
Yeah. And in that same vein of people, so the whole podcast is just going to be authors that we will read pretty much anything they write.
Yep.
The other person that we highly love is Kelly Reamer.
Yes.
And she primarily stays in the, I would say, World War II historical fiction lane.
Now
But
she does.
yes, she has
Yeah.
some books that, which they just re-released one of them. Did you see this?
No.
With like a new cover, a new thing. And I was having like a mental, I know, like I already own that book with a different cover. I think they're just re-releasing her stuff because she's so popular now. But
Yeah.
she had, I think she dabbled in like maybe romances type stuff, and then family dramas. I don't even know what you would call it. But
Yeah.
then she kind of got in the historical fiction lane, and wow, does she do it well. Like, it's so good. And I haven't, like I said, I own a couple of the other books. I just haven't read them. But she, like, The Things We Cannot Say, which is one of my absolute all-time favorite books. It's Kelly Reamer. And I think that's the one that kind of got me started on her. But she also, we just talked about recently, The German Wife. So she is just, she's another person that I would love to. She is Australian, so I don't know when we'll ever get to meet her. But, and a fun thing, if you just follow her on Instagram, she actually bought a bookstore. And so not only is she an amazing writer, but she's like living all the book girl fantasies of having your own bookstore and how fun that would
For
be
sure.
and all that stuff. Yeah. So
yeah, I feel like she definitely found her stride with historical fiction, and I hope that she just keeps going that direction. Because I'm looking right here on Amazon and just some of her reviews, and it seems like a lot of her, like her other books that are not historical fiction, or, they don't have a lot of reviews. I don't feel like a lot of people are reading them as much as, like, she has really done a good job, I think, with historical fiction.
And she does it so it's very much like Rita Sepetty, of like taking a kind of like unknown topic or story and pushing it into, the light of, writing a historical fiction novel on it. I think she said like The Things We Cannot Say might be her first historical novel. And that was based on like family connections that she kind of had. So with that particular area. So I don't know. I wish she had another book coming out soon. I think she's working on one, but I mean, she is a little busy, so.
Yeah, she's got a few things going.
Yeah, but I think another person who does historical fiction well is Mark Sullivan. And I think you've read more of his than I have.
No, I've just read the 2.
Really?
I think he's only written 2. I think he's only written 2. Because you're the one who told me about Beneath the Scarlet Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Last Green Valley. Yeah, that's pretty sure that's the only, well, maybe not.
So he has other books. But I don't even know.
I'm not sure that if this is this actual same guy. Is this the same guy?
Oh.
I don't know.
It's very interesting how authors kind of, like, you see it, they pivot and go a different direction in their writing. That's always interesting. But
yeah, so, because like some of his other stuff they only have a few hundred reviews, and then you go down to Beneath the Scarlet Sky, and he's got over 200,000 reviews.
Yeah. So the Beneath a Scarlet Sky is World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, The Last Green Valley, that's also World War II. But totally different areas and stories and stuff like that. The Last Green Valley, that's the one that we just read, right? Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
about
last
how
one.
that one was so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I liked The Last Green Valley more than Beneath a Scarlet Sky, but they're both really good. So
Yeah, they're very good. And I will, if he comes out with another
yeah,
historical
historical
fiction, I
fiction.
don't know that I
Yeah,
would read these other books, but
right.
he did a great job.
They look kind of like crime, mystery, suspense,
Yeah.
the other books that he writes. So if you're into that, maybe you could check them out for us.
Yeah. Check them out and let us know.
And then I feel like an honorable mention is Jennifer A. Nielsen.
Yeah.
Um, she is also YA, but hers are more, they feel more YA. But both of our kids have read a lot of her books. We've done a couple of them as read alouds. She is the one, I'm pretty sure we've already talked about A Night Divided on here. She has that. She has Scourge, which is kind of like a fantasy book. She's kind of in different lanes as well, but she writes really, really well. And I think kids, it's not super complicated with the history, so they're able to kind of follow it along.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, she's another one that I will definitely check out what she has coming out. I may not always buy it, but I definitely would check it out and maybe ask, my kids if they want to read it.
Yeah. So it looks like, going back to Mark Sullivan, it looks like he might have a new book coming out.
What?
Called, so I'm on Goodreads. So see, on Goodreads, I think they put um I don't know what you would call it, like little clues. But it's
Yeah.
All the Glimmering Stars. There's no reviews, so maybe we should review it and just say yes, we'll read it. um but it says it's by Mark Sullivan, best-selling author of Beneath a Scarlet Sky and The Last Green Valley, and the name of the book is All the Glimmering Stars. So I'm going to add it to my to be read, but it looks like it takes place in Uganda.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so something to do with the Lord's Resistance Army.
very
Um,
interesting.
could be very interesting.
It says that the release date is May 7th,
Okay,
2024.
well,
So we will definitely stay on top of that one.
yeah. Okay, so then another one that he has recently released some other books, but Wendell Berry is another one that I would love to have all the books that he's written. His books make me slow down and I don't know, focus on the simplicity of life, but he has several. I have read some of his, what is this series called? I have it right here. The Ports, I always want to say Port Smith, but I don't think it's Port Smith. Port William series, and it's just going through the life of just different, they're novels, they're not historical fiction, but let me say it this way. It follows the different lives of people in this little bitty town, this little village, and their families. And so there's the Coulter family, Hannah Coulter, and then Nathan Coulter, and then there's another one. I can't remember the name of the son, but it follows their life and the changes in the world that take place, from this really simple time of farming and pre, technology, and it shows the advancement and but all woven into these people's story, right? And so they get married and then they have kids, and how just things are constantly evolving, and how I don't know why I love it, other than the fact that it just causes me to slow down and feel like I'm in this little town that is just slower paced. So I would read any. He's very kind of poetic in the way that he writes, and I don't know, it's very intriguing to me. And so
Yeah,
I
I
would
haven't.
buy, yeah, I would buy
I
anything that
Yeah.
he writes, and I would love to grow my collection of Wendell books. Actually, I had my eye on the Hannah Coulter book, but I wanted a specific one. And thank goodness for thrift books, because I finally found it and it got shipped to me, and it's
Oh,
so
good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yellow, and I don't know. I had like this weird memory of my aunt having this book on her bookshelf. And when I asked her about it, she was like, I don't even know who that is. and or
Hmm.
that she had never read his books. Maybe she didn't know who he was, but she didn't ever read his books. And I was like, I could have swore like that was on your shelf, and that's why I wanted the specific copy. So I don't know, maybe it was somebody else, but um now I have it,
Interesting.
and it's just I love it. And someone wrote in it. So
Um,
that makes it even more. It says,
I
glad we can enjoy this book together. With love,
Oh,
Luann.
oh,
And it was
oh,
to Anita.
Luann. Oh, weird.
I know. What if the name had like signed Rachel?
That's so weird.
Oh, yeah. But, anyways,
Um,
it's a
I'm
sweet.
looking up his books, and one of them is called "Why I'm Not Going to Buy a Computer."
Yes. So he's like very traditional, and like he even teaches people, I think, how to like farm. I feel like there's this
Yeah,
whole rabbit hole. Speaking of rabbit holes, like we've been talking about the last couple of episodes, but he is just such a cool, interesting guy. Another guy that I would love to meet. And yeah.
yeah. Well, it's yeah, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. Another author is Elisa Childers, who is not I don't know, what would you classify her books, because it's nonfiction, but they're not self-help. Okay.
Um, okay, so I would classify Elisa Childers as like would you say religious nonfiction,
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
spiritual growth?
Something like that,
Maybe it would be that.
but not in a hokey way.
Yeah, not in a hokey way. Okay, like
Uh,
Elisa is very
yeah.
grounded.
So it says that I read Another Gospel in 2020, so I bet you did too. And that
Yep.
book was just I mean, I would say that that kind of changed my whole Christian walk, being challenged with that book.
Yeah.
Um, and it's her, um, I don't know that I would call it a memoir, but kind of like her journey through. She was a Christian music artist when she was younger, and kind of coming out of that and struggling kind of where she was with her faith. And so it's like her faith journey. Um, but it really, all of the things that she kind of brings up were things that I felt um like I had kind of experienced on some level.
Hmm.
And so we're seeing where she ends up with her journey really kind of challenged me and where I was with my Christian walk. And so I really um contribute a lot of growth from reading that book
Yeah.
and her challenges. And then she had another one last year come out, Live Your Truth and Other Lies, which is fantastic. Because she talks a lot about in her first book of kind of like things that we are programmed to think are kind of Christian, but really they've like the church has just kind of absorbed secular um
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
And so in that second book, Live Your Truth, it talks about breaking down a lot of those things that we think are okay and maybe even biblical, and how they're really not. So that one was super great. And then she has one coming out in January of 2024, The Deconstruction of Christianity. And she does that one with Tim Barnett, who is the Red Pen Logic guy. Have you
Hmm.
ever watched his stuff? He's so good.
Yeah.
I might read that one with my kids But again, it's just kind of bringing up these cultural norms of Christianity that we think are Christianity,
Mhm.
um, or biblical even, and they're just not. And so, but they do it in a very soft, or at least Elisa Childers does, in a very soft, gentle, not condemning, not, whatever, just kind of pointing out like, this is what the Bible says. And, you
Yeah.
really can't muddy the waters here. So,
Yeah.
and we actually got to see her speak in real life and meet her, um, and try not to hyperventilate when we met
Yeah,
her.
we might have been fangirling a little bit, a little bit.
Just a little bit. My face is like bright red in those pictures. So embarrassing. But yeah, she's definitely one that no matter what it is, I'm gonna read it. So
And I do have to say, like, she sat right in front of us,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
And we held
Rachel,
it
I
together.
thought I thought she was gonna kind of lose it there for a second. There she
It was
is. There she
but
is.
so you have to set up the story of like we were already it was like a women's thing and a women's retreat thing. And so we're
Yeah.
already sitting in our spots. We got there early so that we could have a fantastic spot. And here she comes. Like they had already started the music and talking and whatever. And she just plops down right in front of us. I was like, what?
Yes, it couldn't
Anyways.
have been more perfect. And then we got to meet her and we got to take
Yeah.
pictures with her, and she is so sweet, and I think she delivers such a great message very well. She also has a podcast, so
Yeah.
like if you guys want to check her out, she's amazing, and I don't know, she just makes it very easy to understand, I feel like, on a lot of things.
Well, and I think sometimes, especially when you're talking in Christian circles and stuff like that, it can be very condescending. It can be very
Right.
judgmental because there's so many factions under the umbrella of Christianity. So you really can make people upset taking a hard stance on something. And I feel like she does interviews on her podcast and stuff where it's not judgmental. It's like just asking the person questions and kind of like, why would
Mhm.
that be okay? Why would that not be okay? You know what I mean? It's not ever preachy. And
I think
we
that's because she has a lot of compassion, because that's, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
she was in that place of asking questions and doubting and all of that. So
And
you
I
you
think
can
that's
definitely feel her compassion coming across.
yeah, and I think that that's one of the disservice that we do for people that are trying to learn more about Christianity or even with our own kids and helping them kind of find their own walk,
Right.
um, of making it to where they feel like they can't ask questions, hard questions. There are answers for that. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but growing up, I felt like and nobody ever told me this, but just like, well, we're just going to kind of overlook that topic. Like if it doesn't just work super well, or if there's not like a solid biblical answer,
Yeah.
um, we're just kind of not discuss that. And, but there are apologists who are out there answering those hard questions and there are
Right.
answers for them.
Yeah.
So, kind of setting up people to, it's okay to challenge. And I feel like she does that really well in another gospel of like it was good and cathartic for her to challenge her previous notions of Christianity and what she believed, um to propel her in the right direction. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
good. Yeah.
yeah, I really like her and I will always read, like I said, I will always read anything she puts out.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do have a hot topic. So when we
Oh,
were getting ready for this podcast, we talked about we were talking about the authors and you said J.K. Rowling because you and your kids are doing
yeah.
the
Yeah.
read through. And I said, no, I wouldn't put her on the list.
And I want to know why.
Okay. So um everyone knows that I love the Harry Potter books. I think they are so well done. The stories are great. Good for like the whole thing. I don't have anything bad to say about Harry Potter. But so once she got done with Harry Potter, she released several adult fiction books,
Mm,
and I have never been able to get into any of them. It's
okay.
kind of like mystery, um ish kind of books.
Mhm.
And there's always a cast of a gajillion characters, which again, we've kind of talked about mystery and why maybe we don't like that. But
Yeah.
um, so I don't know. It would be very interesting. I would love for you to go try to read one of her books that's not Harry Potter. Because and she's never really, she tried to publish under a pseudonym, so I can't remember what it is that she goes by because she doesn't really release them as J.K. Rowling. She had another one come out a couple years ago that is a kid book, but we never, like, I bought it, but we just never read it. But
The Christmas
so
Pig.
whatever it was, I can't even
Yeah,
remember.
I think that's
No,
it.
there's another one too.
Oh, Ichabod?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Um, and so I have it, but I've just never read it. That needs to be on a priority. But um,
Okay,
anyway,
is the
so you'll
Casual
have to.
Vacancy, is that one of them?
That's like the first one that came out, I think. And that's
Okay.
the one I tried to read that, and I was like, and they even made a show. Like the BBC made a show about it, and it actually
Oh.
has the guy that plays Dumbledore in the movies.
Oh my
um,
goodness. Okay.
and I really, really tried, but it's very much of like a BBC mystery drama feel to
Okay.
it. Um, and I just couldn't get into it. So if there's anybody listening that actually, like, if you get past a certain point, it's good, or like, no, you try to read this other one and it actually is good, let me know, because um I could just never get into those. So as much as I love J.K. Rowling for Harry Potter, um I am not always going to. Odds are better that I'm not going to buy whatever comes out.
Yeah. So,
So,
did she do Fantastic Beasts
so
too?
she I don't know. Well, it's not based on a book. Like, it's based on, well, kind of. She wrote a book, like, that's called Fantastic. It's the book that they use in the series, like an academic book.
Oh, okay. I got you right here. I see
And
it
so
now.
they kind of took that and made that
Yeah.
into, yeah, the movies and stuff. And she also did, it's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And that one she wrote it to be a play. And then, like, this was how many years ago? I don't even know, like a long time ago.
Hmm.
And she kept saying, like, she doesn't want a movie to be released. Like, it was meant to be a play. And so they ended up releasing I don't know what like the script of the play in book
Oh,
form. So that's what that book is. And like, I did not super love it. I rated it a 4. I wonder if I would change that now. Um, I enjoyed going back to the characters. I think that's what it is. So it
hmm.
flashes forward to like Harry, Ron, Hermione, and like their kids. So their kids are going to Hogwarts. But it kind of takes a strange turn and it doesn't feel like the original books. So it's kind of like how they had the show of the Gilmore Girls and then they
Yeah.
did that year in the life and you're like, this doesn't feel like the show. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of like that. I enjoyed getting to see the characters again, checking in with them, whatever, but the story is just not, I don't know. And it wasn't meant to be a book. So I've never seen the play. I don't know if it translates well in play form, but
Yeah.
anyways, but no, I have never been able to get on board with any of her other books, which I'm sad to say, but anyways. So hot
Wow.
topic.
Okay.
Hot take.
That was a good hot take. And I learned a lot in
Yeah,
that
so
segment.
you're welcome. It's a PSA.
Ah.
So you'll have to, do you have any books or authors that you feel like that where you super love this one series but can't read anything else?
Um, I don't know that it was like a series, but I have a really hard time reading um anything from Kristen Hanna that's not historical fiction.
After we
I
just got
know.
done talking about her
No,
books.
no, no, no. Like, but those are historical fiction, and
Oh, not historical fiction.
but
Yes.
some of her other stuff, I cannot get into. And so I'm reading a book right now. I'm trying to give it another shot. Summer Island, and this one is like a mother-daughter relationship kind of
Yeah.
story, and I'm trying to hang with it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like she does a decent job. I don't love all of her. I think it's just that I've read better books by now, if better
Yeah.
writing, and so I just I yeah, I just can't read her other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't, like, she's not one of those like Ruta Sepetys that I'm just gonna buy and read whatever she writes.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I might would pick up her historical fiction again, maybe, but I'm definitely not really in love with all of her other books. So that would probably be the one person
Yeah.
that I would say
Well,
that
and she
on.
takes like we've already talked about this in like the Four Winds, where it's like if you would just maybe stick to the historical story.
Yes.
But sometimes they feel like they need to add, and not just her, but kind of like these like their viewpoints into the story, and then it makes it feel kind of like disjointed.
Right. So, like with Four Winds, I will just say, like, I rated that one, I think, a 3. And it was interesting as far as the historical stuff goes. What I didn't love about it is that I felt like there were other things there was a little bit of an agenda there.
Yeah.
And when I'm reading a book because not necessarily that I want to escape, but like I don't want to read
Yeah, you don't want to be
historical
preached at.
fiction,
Yeah.
right, and like have current issues being crammed down my throat. Like, let's just stick with the topic and don't try to sneak these other things in. And I don't know, maybe those type of people would argue that they're not, but it's really hard for me to see that.
Well, and I mean, I think this is where people go wrong. This is a rabbit trail, but when they're doing historical fiction, of like not writing it in the mindset of the person that would be living at that time.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
you're putting in I think a large part of what we're talking about is like a feminist agenda.
Yes.
And and so when you're having characters like be super like, I'm going to be independent and blah, 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 like that wouldn't be, I mean, maybe that's how they would have truly felt, but I think they would have known that there wasn't a way to go alone or, like kind of stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's just an example. Um, and so it just feels very, again, disjointed of like, I don't know if that's how the person really would have been responding to that situation, you know?
Yeah, and like they don't need help. You don't need to try to help the person in that time frame to feel empowered or to be empowered. They were already empowered. They were already, like, most people in these hard times, like think about the Great Depression or the Dust Bowl and all. That character in that book was already a strong character. She didn't
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
you to like put extra things in there. I mean, the message was clear. She was strong. Just because she wouldn't do what somebody from today's time frame would maybe look back and say, well, you know, you could, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
empowerment, whatever. Um, she didn't need that. That wasn't that time frame, and leave the story alone. you know, let the character
Yeah.
be strong in the time period that she is. Like, I don't know, maybe you would have done things differently. Then write a story about you set in that time frame, not about somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Okay, there's my hot take.
Okay. On that note,
Y'all seem to like the spicier episodes, so we're letting a little bit more spice out. There's still more that we're not revealing yet, but
oh yes, more to come. More to come.
all right, guys. So we have come to the end of another fun episode. This one has been fun. And we hope that you will jump out there and find a new author, maybe, to explore. Ruta, find Ruta. And that you just have enjoyed like hanging out with us for a little bit, because we sure have had fun. So until next time, yay for reading.
Bye.
Bye.